Okay, so this is a recording to make up for missing Tuesday the 16th. I'll start with objective 5.4.4. So have here some definitions of area and perimeter. So area is going to be the amount of space, two-dimensional space that an object takes up. For rectangles, is the formula, length times width. The difference between a square and a generic rectangle is that square has equal sides. So when you do the length times the width, they're the same. That's where we come up with the term squared. A number is squared because it's a number times itself, in the same way that the area of a square is the side length times itself. So that's where that comes from. So we want to find the perimeter and the area of these rectangles. This one, we have 4 4/5 by 6 2/3. Area is probably easier to find, so do that one first. Area equals 4 4/5 times 6 2/3. It's going to be, for multiplication, converting to an improper fraction is probably easiest. So let's do that. To convert, we're going to multiply the whole number part by the denominator, and then we're going to add the numerator. So this becomes 24/5. This becomes 18 plus 2 is 20/3. We see if we can cancel anything. Again, 5 goes into 24 times, 3 goes into 24 8 times. This gives us 32 as the area. For feet, so this will be square feet. Perimeter, we're going to do 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. When you're multiplying a mixed number by a constant or by an integer, you're going to multiply both the whole number term and the fractional term. So this becomes 8 and 5ths, which we'll simplify later, and 12 and 4/3. 8 plus 12 is 20. Okay, plus 8/5 plus 4/3. You need a common denominator. That'll be 15. 20 plus, by the way, that becomes 1 and 3/5. This becomes 1 and 1/3. So 20 is going to quickly become 20. Now we have to figure out what 3/5 plus 4/3 or plus 1/3 is. Let's do that over here. So we need a common denominator of 15. To do that, we'll multiply this by 3 to get 15. So we do the same up here. 9/15. This one gets multiplied by 5 to be 15. Same up here. 14/15. So we have 22 and 14/15 is our. I'm going to clear this off to give. I have a cat meowing at me. Testing 1 2. Hear me? So rectangular flower bed, 3 and 1/3 by 12 and 3/5. Area is the product of these. We'll convert into improper fractions. 9 plus 1 is 10/3 times 60 plus 3 is 63/5. Cancel 5 here. Get 2. I cancel a 3 there to get 21. 42 is my area, and it'll be in square feet. Perimeter equals 2 times 3 and 1/3 plus 2 times 12 and 5ths. This gives me 6 plus thirds plus 24 plus 6/5. 6 and the 24 add up to 30. This is 1 and 1/5. Add another 1 to there. The 2/3 and the 1/5. So I get 31, and I need a common denominator between 3 and 5. We'll use the same as before. This becomes plus 6/15. Fractions are on the opposite sides as before. Not 6/15. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 5 is 10. And then we have 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. So this becomes 31 and 13/15. Oh, and I need proper units for both. This is in feet, also in feet. Roll down to the next group. Okay, so perimeter of the rectangle is 20 inches. The length is 20 inches. We need to find the area. Oh no, find the width. So we don't know the width. You can pick which side is the width. I'm going to use this side as my width. That's 2. The opposite side is 2. The opposite of the width is also width. Now we get this. Get 4 plus 2x equals perimeter, which is 20. Solve for x. 2x equals 16. X equals, and it says inches, so we should put it. Area of a flat screen is this. The width is this. What's the height? Well, area equals length times width. That means 864 equals length times 36. I'm betting 36 goes into this play, but it might not. Anyway, I divide both sides by 36 to get L equals 64 over 36. I know that 4 goes into the top, so that goes in 216 times. 4 goes into the bottom 9 times. 9 goes into 21 2 times, with 3 as a remainder. Down to 6. 9 goes into 36 4 times. So L is 24. Now we're going to get, this is the area of a parallelogram. Area of a triangle is going to be half that. We showed this in class, so it should feel familiar. Anyway, we want to find the area of the triangle. So this here is the triangle we're finding area of. Area equals 1/2 times the base times the height in square meters. Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3/4 is 3. Get 27 square meters. Perimeter, we're going to add these together. 12 plus 9.5 plus 7 and 1/3. 12 plus 9 is 21. 21 plus 7 is 28. Plus 1/2 plus 1/3. 6 is our common denominator, so we get 28 plus 3/6, and this one is 2/6. So it becomes 28 and 5/6. Perimeter is 14 inches. Find the missing side. Get 14 equals 3 and 2/3 plus 7 and 3/8 plus x. These combine to be 10. Common denominator here is 24. Get 14 equals 10 plus 16 over 24. That's this fraction. Plus 9 over 20. That fraction. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides, so that becomes a 4. These become 4 equals 25 over 24 plus x, which is the same as 1 and 124 plus x. If I cancel a 1 from both sides, I get 3 equals 1 over 24 plus x. So x equals 3 minus 1 over 24. X equals 2 and 23/24. Okay, word problems. So recipe is tripled. We need to figure out how much sugar is needed. Tripling means times 3. This is how much for a single recipe, so we need 3 times 2/3 cups. Let's cancel. Gal's making a blanket. Has this many yards of fabric. He needs this many yards. How many more yards does he need? And 1/6 minus 1 and 2/3. This is going to be 3 plus 1/6 minus 1 minus 2/3. When you split apart a mixed number, you always keep the same sign for the fractional part. So 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. 1/6 minus 2/3 we convert into 6 as our common denominator. So we get 1/6 minus 4/6. This becomes 2 minus 3/6, which is 1 and 6/6 minus 3/6, which equals 1 and 3/6, and that simplifies to 1 and 1/2. That's how many yards Gail needs. If 90 students took a math test and 2/3 of them earned an A, of means multiply. So 2/3 of 90 got an A. How many students earned an A? 30 is 60. 60 students got an A. You have an eighth of a cup. Sorry, if you only have an eighth cup measuring cup, and the recipe calls for this many cups of sugar, how many scoops of the eighth cup will you need? So we're trying to break this many cups of sugar into this many into scoops of that size. We're trying to see how many scoops of this size make this amount of sugar. That's a division problem. 5 and 1/4 divided by 1/8. Convert to a mixed number. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21/4. Dividing by 1/8 is the same as multiplying by 8 over 1. Cancel. Times 21 is 42. Find the perimeter of the triangle. We don't need to know the height for the perimeter. That's not needed. 8 feet plus 5 and 3/4 feet plus 4 and 1/4 feet. Now, I had a student one semester who did this by converting all of the feet to inches, adding them up, and then converting back. And that works fine because a fourth of a foot is just 3 inches, and 3/4 of a foot is just 9 inches. So we could do this all in inches, and that would be fine. But we don't have to. Anyway, 8 plus 5 plus 4 is going to be 17. 3/4 plus 1/4, well, here's 3/4. And if we add in 1/4, that's just 1. So that's 17 plus 1 feet, which is 18 feet for the perimeter of the triangle. It took Omar this far to fly from city A to city B. Took him that far to fly to city C. He had to wait at the airport for this long. How many total hours was Omar traveling? So we're just adding these 4 and 3/4 plus 3 and 5/6 plus 5/12. If you wanted to convert all of these to minutes, you could, and that would be fine. Um, I'm pretty sure I had a student do that one time too, but I'm unsure. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is 7. Common denominator is 12, so this one gets multiplied by 3. We get 9/12. Multiplied by 2 is 10/12. That stays the same as 5/12. We get 7 plus 24/12, which is 9 hours. This is 2 hours plus the 7. Hannah picked 3/5 of a bushel of blueberries. Today she picked 7/8 of a bushel of blueberries. I always forget how much a bushel is. I know it's a volume measurement and it's fairly large, but I need to look up how big a bushel. 64 US pints. So that's the same as 16 gallons, I think. Oh no, that would be the same as 8 gallons. Pretty big measurement. That's more than that. This person picked 3/5 of a bushel. It's the same as 3/5 of 8 gallons, which is um gallons. Gallon has two. This would be the same as 24/5 of a gallon, which is almost 5 gallons. That's a lot of blueberry. A lot of blueberry. That's not what we're doing. It just asked how many more did she pick today than before. How much more did she pick today than yesterday? Well, today she picked 7/8. Yesterday she picked 3/5. Common denominator is 40. Get 35 over 40 by multiplying the top and bottom by 5. Going to multiply the top and bottom by 8 on this one, so we get minus 24/40. This gives us 11/40 of okay. Continuing onward. One half of the math class went to the library to study. Of that group, 2/5 returned on time. What fraction of the class returned on time? Well, it should be what fraction of the members of the class who went to the library, because we don't know of the other half that didn't go to the library. We don't know if they returned from wherever they went on time or not. But we will just solve that. So of means multiply for the most part. So we have 1/2 of the class and 2/5 of the half of the class. The twos cancel, gives us 1/5. 1/5 of the class went to the library and returned on time. Serving size is this much. You eat this much. How many servings have you had? Well, 2/3. So this is how much was eaten. We want to break this into pieces that are this size because this is one serving. But dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. 9 and 3 cancel. 2 and 4 cancel. 2. Oh, you did not even have a full serving. And yeah, that's true because 6/9 is the same as 2/3. So it is less than one serving. Miss Hernandez teaches math lessons. Each lesson is 1/4 of an hour. She teaches for this long. How many lessons can she teach? How much time does she have left over? She only teaches complete lessons. So have 1 and 1/3 divided by 1/4. The same as 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4/3 of an hour times 4/1 gives us 16/3, which is 5 and 1/3 lessons. So she has time to complete 5 lessons. 5 total lessons taught. How many lessons could she only teaches complete lessons? 5 total lessons taught. And then we have 1/3 of a lesson left over. Well, if a lesson is 1/4 of an hour, then 1/3 of a lesson is 1/3 of 1/4 of an hour. 1/12 of an hour, which convert to minutes is 5. Okay. Last section of the module. So we're just using the first principle in this. So first principle is understanding. In this section, we won't be solving problems. We'll just be talking about how to understand what it's asking for and sort out the useful information from the non-useful information. So, bottle of sauce contains this much sauce. How many servings of this size can you get out of the bottle? You need to make an estimate. So this here is about, well, it's 3.5, which if we wanted to round, we could round to 3 or 4, or we could leave it where it is. 1/5 is about a fourth. We could figure out that this is 12/4 plus 2 more fourths, which is 14/4. If we divide it into fourths, how many fourths do we have? We have 14. So that's an estimate. We could say it's about 14. We could also say that each group of 3 gets broken into 5 servings, so that's 15 servings plus half is about 2 more servings. 17 servings, so 17 is approximately how many servings? 14 is approximately how many servings? We could do the compare 3 versus compare 4. If we have fifth of a liter servings and 3 liters of sauce, that's 15 servings, because that's 3 times 15. We round down to 3. We round up to 4. We have 4 liters times 1/5 serving, means 4 times 5 is 20, somewhere between 15 and 20, somewhere between 14 and 17. Those are all possible ways to estimate. Usually, our estimates are just going to be you round to an easy number to compare, and then you maybe do it round the other way and compare again. Those are decent ways to get estimates. Um, we already explained how we came up with these estimates. You don't have to do all of the estimates. I just picked a few different common ways to estimate. Uh, how much of her orange did she eat? Jessica ate this much orange. This much. We don't need to know about how much of her sandwich she ate. We were asking about the orange. This much of her orange. So identify any relevant information given in the problem. This. Elephant grass grows 2.5 inches a day. How many inches will it grow in 6 days? Well, again, one way of estimating would say if we round down, we get 2 times 6 days is 12. If we round up, we get 3 times 6 days is 18. So halfway between those is 15. Like we can make a low estimate, a high estimate, and then take the midpoint. That's one way to make an estimate. Um, we could also 6 is a fairly simple number. It's not so bad to work with, but we can try a couple things. We can round some of the numbers or all of the numbers like we did in the previous problem. Second principle is to plan. We will make plans for how to solve these, but we won't necessarily solve. Dory can run this far every hour. How long will it take her to run a race that is this long? So, if we assume that Dory does not slow down for races that are significantly longer than the pace we're given, then this is a division problem. We divide distance by, sorry, we divide distance by speed to get time. Distance equals speed times time. So that means time equals the distance divided by the speed. Okay. So you're going to divide 16 and 1/4 by 3 and 1/4. The operation we're using is division because we are splitting this distance into chunks that are this size to tell us how many hours it will take us to run the race. Bridget wants to make 14 matching hair bows. Each hair bow requires that much. How many yards will Bridget need? What operation do we use? Multiplication here, because we have 14 bows, and each bow will take 3/4 of a yard. So we have this many groups of that size of yards of ribbon. You have to write your own justification. You have to write your own justification. We're skipping Polia's third principle because the third principle is to do the plan. And that kind of is the entire rest of the chapter. It's doing the multiplication or division or subtraction or whatever. So every module is mostly step 3. So most of what we're doing in class is doing the plans. But the other 3 steps, understanding the problem, making a plan, and reflecting on answers, these are um, these are the other steps that we'll focus on in the last section of each chapter. So we have 3 people who are hiking from a parking lot to the summit. They're on the trail heading up to the summit when they pass a sign that gives distances. So if this is the mountain they're climbing, and they started here at the parking lot. They went up 3/4 of a mile from the parking lot, and they're told it is 1 1/2 miles to the summit. My says we are 1/3 of the way there. Yeah. So this is half the distance of this. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, half of the way to the top is correct. We have to go twice as far as we have already gone. To get to the top, yes. If they're trying to go up and back down, then Claire is forgetting about coming back down to the parking lot. But if it's just to get to the top, yeah, Claire is right. Tyler says the total hike is 3 times as long as what we've done. Yeah, this is what they've done. Total hike is 1, 2, 3 times what they've done. Like all three of these. Oh, but he says total hike. Does he mean hike up and hike down? If he's talking about hiking up and back, they've done this far, and they still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more chunks the same size to get back down. So it's tough. It does depend on when she says we have to go, is that meaning just have to go to get to the top or up and back? When Tyler says the total hike, does he mean just up or up and back? I would say Tyler probably does mean up and back. Like that's probably up and back. The other one, Claire might just be talking about getting to the top. We have that far to go to get to the top. But you do have to be careful with these things. Adalberto is squeezing oranges for fresh orange juice. Knows that an orange has that much juice. He wants to determine how many oranges are needed to make this. He writes and solves the problem as follows: 1/4 times the number of oranges equals that. Is this true? Yeah. The number of oranges times 1/4 of a cup give us the number of cups of juice, which we want this much juice, so that's why we set it equal to that. Yes, this is set up correctly. Okay. Says he gets an answer of 10 oranges. State how to check the answer. Okay. So one way to do it is to take the number of oranges, which is x, and multiply it by 1/4 and see if we get that. That's one way to do it. That would be a way to check. Another way to do it, well, if we divide this number by 1/4 and get 10, that's another way to check. So we can either do the operation, the division, to see if we get 10, or we can do this multiplication and see if we get 2.5. Either way should work. Okay. Um, a student told me that this name is pronounced Sochi, and so I'm going to say Sochi. Sochi has $200. Yamka saved 2/3 that amount. And Zach has this much times the amount Yamka. How much have they all saved together? So x equals 200. Y equals 2/3 times x, but that's 2/3 times 200, which is 400 over 3, which is $166.67 after rounding. And then we have z equals 1 1/2 times the amount that Yamka saved. I'm going to convert to an improper fraction. 2 plus 1 is 3 halves. Yamka had 400 over 3. I'm using the fraction as an exact number. This is a rounded number, so I want to use this if I can. 3's cancel. The 2 goes into 400 200 times. So z is 200. So x is 200. Y is 166.67. And z is 200 again. Let's see. Priya's cat weighs this much, the dog weighs that much. Estimate the number that would complete the sentence. The cat is um not as heavy as the dog. It's about half. I mean, it might be closer to 2/3, but I don't know if a nice like half is a nice one word to describe something that says this thing is equal to another thing divided by two. Half is a nice word. It's nice and short. Their combined weight is, oh, we just want to estimate. Combined weight would be that's 5, that's 8, about 13 pounds. That would be rounding down, but 13 or 14 pounds. The dog is, looking at this is about 8, this is about 5. It's about 3 pounds heavier, maybe 2.5 pounds heavier, because this is a bigger fraction. Almost, it's closer to 6 than this is to 9. So, like, we could say 3 pounds. We could say 2.5. I say 2.5. Okay. Determine what operations could be used to find each answer. The first one is vision. Vision. Next one would be addition. And the last one is subtraction. Okay. Calculate each answer. Let's calculate. Let's first copy that down. We have 5 1/2 for the cat, and we have 8 1/4 for the dog. So vision, we're gonna do this converts to 33 fourths divided by 5. This converts to 11 halves. 33 over 4 times 2 over 11. That cancels. That cancels. 3 halves. The dog is 3 halves as heavy as the cat. The cat is 2/3. Depends on which one comes second. The cat is 2/3 as heavy as the dog. The dog is 3 halves as heavy as the cat. The next answer we want addition. So we have 5 1/2 plus 8 1/4. This is using 4 as our common denominator. We have 5 plus 8 is 13. 1/2 becomes 2/4 plus 1/4. So this is 13 3/4 pounds. And the last one we have 8 1/4 minus 5 1/2. 8 minus 5 is 3. 1/4 minus a half is -1/4. 3 minus a fourth is 2 3/4. Reflect on the answers. Well, comparing them to 2.5, a little more than 2.5, 13 to 14, we got 13 3/4. These compare nicely, the predictions. So the answers match the predictions nicely. Um, if you did a different way of predicting and your predictions were further away, then explain why your prediction method wasn't a great one. In a certain class with 45 students, 1/5 of the students speak more than one language. In the class election for president, okay. What fraction of the votes did Mattel receive? So we don't need to know about their languages, unless it comes up that that affected who they voted for, but it probably didn't. So, oh, circle the phrases below containing important information. So, what fraction of the votes did Mattel receive? We actually don't need to know the number of students. Um, knowing 1/5 speak another language doesn't matter. Knowing Monica got this many votes, Saren got this many votes, and that Mattel got the rest, those are useful. We don't actually need to know the number of students because it doesn't say how many votes Mattel receives, just what fraction. So problem solving strategy would be, well, we know that the votes have to total up to all the votes, right? So we know that Monica was 1/3 of the votes, Saren was 2/5 of the votes. Whatever Mattel got has to add up to all of the votes, 100% of the votes, which is 1. 1 equals 100%. So we solve for m. M equals 1 minus 1/3 minus 2/5. 1 minus a third is 2/3 minus 2/5. Common denominator is 15. So we get 10/15 minus 6/15, which leaves us with 4/15 as our fraction of voters who voted for Mattel. Oh, I guess this calculation goes in here. And then we have to see, does this make sense? So, um, well, one way to see if it makes sense is to add them together and see if we get 1. Another way to see if it makes sense is this here is 1/3 of the votes. This is more than 1/3 of the votes. We can check that 1/3 versus. We just compare 1/3 to 2/5. Cross multiply here, we get 5 for this number. Cross multiply here, we get 6 for this number. That means that 2/5 is the bigger number because when we crossed these, 2/5 had the bigger comparison number. So if this person got 1/3 of the votes and this person got more than 1/3 of the votes, this person needs to get less than 1/3 of the votes for the 3 people to add up to to add up to. And so say, is this less than 1/3? And the answer is, if I multiply this by 5/5, I get 5/15. 4/15 is less than 5/15. 5/15 is equal to 1/3. That means 4/15 is less than 1/3. That seems to make sense. Something bigger than 1/3 plus something smaller than 1/3 plus 1/3, and it adds up to 1. Okay. We have made it through the lecture notes. It took us 45 minutes. So I still owe you an hour and 15 minutes for the missed lecture on September 16th. And I will get to that to probably in Module 5. So, hope you're having a good weekend. I will talk to you all later. Bye.